Flower Place, Georgetown. Find us online at www.thelightroom.ky or call 938-HEAL.
UHealth, University of Miami Health System, world-class healthcare in the heart of Miami.
For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
When I first started going to healthcare pharmacy, it was because it was convenient. But over the years, I continued to shop there because I trusted them. One day I was picking up my prescription, and the pharmacist noticed an over-the-counter medication in my basket. She said, "I hope that's not yours. It will interact with your prescription." And I thought, wow, thank you. Trust is so important when it comes to your health. Healthcare Pharmacy with 2 locations, Grand Harbor and Governor's Square, where they care about my health.
There's nothing more important than your health, and seeking expert healthcare with physicians you can trust is what you deserve. UHealth, the University of Miami Health System, offers peace of mind to you and your family with a first-class experience. Our patient coordinators assist with everything you need before, during, and after your stay with us. As South Florida's only academic-based health system, UHealth offers cutting-edge treatment, compassionate care, and life-changing results just a flight away. Learn more at umiamihealth.org/international.
Running on empty? Feeling depleted? Health and wellness comes down to one essential factor: energy at the cellular level. Our body is designed to support, repair, recover, and heal, but it needs the right environment. At the Lightroom, our energy enhancement system is that right environment, a balanced bioenergetic support for your body's natural processes. Don't wait until your energy is depleted. Recharge and keep optimized. Start today. The Lightroom, advanced energy therapies that work. We're in Pasadena Place.
Hello and welcome to For the Health of It. I'll be talking about menopause. It's a natural stage of life, but the physical and emotional changes it brings can sometimes feel confusing and frustrating and overwhelming. In this program, we are joined by COURTNEE Springfield, who is a pelvic floor therapist, and ELLIE Saunders, a nutritionist from Cayman Physiotherapy. Hello and welcome to For the Health of It.
Hi. Thanks for having us.
You're most welcome. You know, we're doing this year. I'm being a little bit more conscious and intentional about doing a few more shows on menopause because people hear things differently, and from what the research is now showing is menopause is not there's no end of it. It can continue. I mean, I'm sure there's an end, but it can go on for 20 years from what I heard the other day, which was terrifying. So I've been through it, or still going through it, but I don't have all the hot flashes, and I must have something, but I don't know what they are. Anyway, we'll be talking through it with you all from 2 different perspectives, and I love that, the nutrition part and the physiotherapist part. So can you tell me, what does a pelvic floor therapist do to help women along this journey?
Well, when you're talking about menopause, in particular, you have your obvious symptoms that include your hot flashes and your sleep changes, abdominal weight gain, but in the pelvic floor side of it, I'm also asking questions about sexual health, sexual function. So you can see things like vaginal dryness, thinning skin and tissues vaginally that can create micro tears. So then you're talking about painful intercourse, then you're talking about low libido. So as far as the sexual side of things, you have that side of the pelvic floor world, but then you also have changes in bladder health, bladder function. So you can see increased frequency, urgency, leakage and incontinence can also increase in UTIs, so bladder infections and things like that. You'll see physical changes in the labia and the urethra. Pelvic organ prolapse is a whole side of that too, when you're talking about decreased muscle and tendon and ligament connections and stuff like that. So pelvic floor side's a whole section to go with that too. So
yeah, and you know, I'm glad you brought up the sexual health part of it, because it's every relationship is built on that, and it's so important to both men and women. We don't talk about it enough.
Exactly.
And menopause does bring a whole different level of complexities, or can.
And even if you're not sexually active,
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily have to be intercourse.
Yeah.
It can be, you could be single and all alone and still have issues that you might be embarrassed to bring up to your doctor or your therapist and not know that that's even an option. So
Yeah, so we'll hear a little bit more. And then I think there's a lot of information around nutrition and menopause. What is something you'd like to bust up and say, that's not true?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, there's so much misinformation on nutrition, especially in like the social media space.
Yeah.
People, you know, go on and they spout loads and loads of misinformation. So I think the biggest kind of myth that I would want to bust nutritionally is that there are things nutritionally that you can do to help your symptoms in menopause. Menopause doesn't have to be the end of the world, and it doesn't have to change you for the rest of your life. The most important things are making sure that you are getting the right energy in and it's matching your energy out, and making sure that matches as it changes over the lifespan. And also things like anti-inflammatory nutrition. There's a lot of fad diets that go around, so just busting those fad diets, and if it sounds too good to be true, it generally is. So yeah, keeping things, just nailing the basics, and that will help you through menopause and beyond for sure.
I love that energy in and matching, because I think that's part of our, because of how we live, we tend to already eat far too much.
Yeah.
So how do we match that as we're going through menopause? Because I hear a lot of people, and I've been through it, where, you know, I put on a lot of weight during my throes of menopause, and I just gave up. But I think if I go back, I was eating far too much, and some of it was to help me with my energy levels, because I was so tired that I ate more.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you eat that 500 or so more calories.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll talk more as we get in. Thank you, and talk about the anti-inflammatory. So what types of exercise are most beneficial during menopause? Should women focus more on strength training, cardio, flexibility, or is there a balance?
I think there's definitely a balance. I think they're all good to focus on, but I think during perimenopause, menopause, I think we need to focus on strength training. We need to we have a decrease in muscle mass and bone density anyway with the hormone changes. So increasing the strength gains is going to be the most important place to focus. And that I also teach the Pilates classes, so I'm a little biased, but I think Pilates is a great combination of all those things. You're getting a little bit of stretch, a little bit of mobility, balance work, you know, all that's important, but you're also getting the strength. So
yeah, I think especially for bone health in particular, any kind of weight-bearing exercise is super important for making sure your bone turnover is as good as it can be, and your bones aren't deteriorating more rapidly than they naturally would during menopause, for sure.
Yeah.
Anything weight-bearing is fantastic, yeah.
And Pilates is weight-bearing?
yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of body weight exercise, but you can also use equipment or added weights. In fact, offering a menopause class has been on my list of things to do, and as I was kind of preparing for today, I was thinking, you know what, now might be the time. I need to just go ahead and put a menopause class together and do those types of things, like the weight bearing for more bone density, more strength focused, and stuff like that. So
Yeah, that'll be great for women because I think they're a little threatened by going to the gym.
For sure.
If, especially if they.
If you've not been before, then
Yeah.
it can be really scary.
Yeah. And I went through it, so I know that I increased my exercise. In other words, I tried to do more HIIT, like more stressful. And I swear to God, all that made me do is put on more weight.
Yeah.
Because I was just stressing out my system, my already stressed out nervous system. And, I think that's, what we did. So is there a way, do we do Pilates, which is a little bit calmer than, say, a HIIT exercise? I mean, Pilates can kick your butt.
I was going to say,
Yeah, I mean, but it kicks your butt in a different way. It's more, it's horrible. It's really hard. It really is hard,
It's hard in a good way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
We talked about like the fad diets, things that, ways that we work out. When you were in 20s, you could get on the treadmill and you could run for 5 hours.
Right.
That type of consistent long-term cardio isn't really the type of workout we want anymore. Especially talking about menopause stage.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to just stress the system continuously like that. You do want some cardio. You do want, but you can also do that with the strength training.
Mm-hmm.
If you're lifting heavy enough,
Mm-hmm.
quick enough, with less rest in between, you're going to get that heart rate up. And same thing in Pilates.
Good.
And I think finding something ultimately that you enjoy, because it only works if you do it, right? So if you find something, a form of movement that you really enjoy and that gives you, a lease of life and makes you feel energized, then that is ultimately the best form of exercise for you, because you're just going to keep doing it. So it will work.
And, okay, we've been talking about menopause, but what about women in perimenopause? They haven't gone into that, but something has changed.
Menopause is just one day.
Yeah.
Menopause is just the day that you've gone a year without a period. So perimenopause can start happening in your mid-30s.
Right.
So, and we don't necessarily recognize the symptoms that are starting that early, like the brain fog and the increased anxiety, and those types of things that we don't necessarily put with that.
And I heard recently that women can even they're more prone to frozen shoulders as they're going through this. How the heck does that affect your shoulder? Yeah. Doesn't make sense, right?
The statistics on like the amount of women that get frozen shoulder, it's way not fair. I don't think guys really get the frozen shoulder. And then you're looking at the menopause age. It's all women.
So, the point of me bringing that up is don't put aside any sort of weird symptom. It could be, just like what you said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
All these things build up a picture as well. If you have just random symptoms that don't seem to be interconnected, but you keep a track of all of them, and then suddenly it builds a picture and you're like, oh yeah, actually it is perimenopause. Like all of those things fit. So
yeah.
You're just not feeling like yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Increased stress and cortisol and the sleep disruption, right? If you're looking at 30-year-olds, most of them probably have a young family that they're raising. They think, oh, I'm not sleeping, I'm just in survival mode. And they don't attribute a lot of those symptoms to changes in their hormones.
Yeah, I think we think that we're not middle-aged when we get in our 30s.
Exactly.
But we're kind of middle-aged. I mean, we live to, in our 80s. We're living a little bit longer, but your body starts being middle-aged. Sorry. I love, in Cayman, we have this thing. She is a young Cayman. Young Cayman, I was like, how old are you? And they're like 35. I was like, you're not young no more. So sorry. Men and women feel exhausted during menopause. How can they stay active when they have little energy?
I think it kind of goes back to what you were saying of like, find something you like to do. I always suggest, especially if you're not doing anything, you're not active in any way other than going to work and taking care of your kids, or make small changes. Don't overwhelm yourself. Find something that you like to do and do that, whether it's taking a class, going to a Pilates class, or taking a walk with your friend, your sister, your husband, the kids, whatever. Do something that you love to do. And pay attention to when you have more energy. More likely you're going to have more energy at the start of the day. So try to fit in your activity that you like when you have more energy. Don't wait till you're getting home from work at 6 o'clock at night thinking, okay, this is what I'm going to go for my hour-long class, or, but trying to, and obviously the nutrition side of it's going to give you more of that energy.
Yeah, making sure you fuel yourself properly for sure.
So what does that look like, feeding yourself properly?
Yeah, so I think it kind of comes back to those kind of diets that I was mentioning earlier. A lot of people, when they reach menopause, they think potentially that you should be doing kind of like intermittent fasting or doing keto diets, but actually the best kind of course of action for you is eating consistently through the day, so having 3 main meals and a couple of snacks interspersed, and then it means that your energy is just more consistent through the day, and you're not going hours and hours without eating anything, so you're not getting those drops in energy at random points through the day. And likewise, making sure you're eating in the morning, and then a lot of people struggle with snacking later on in the evening, and that's because they haven't eaten anything in the morning, so then their hunger compounds and compounds and compounds, and then they just go on a massive blowout in the evening. So it's kind of bringing that forward a bit and making sure that it's all really nice and consistent through the day, so that you've got energy for everything, for all of the things that you want to do.
I think we also have big eye syndrome, right? We think the bigger the plate, the better it is. Yeah. And how do we retrain our brains to understand we do not need huge plates of food?
Yeah, so there's 2 kinds of ways you can do it. It's just learning what portion sizes are. So I like to use the hand method. So I always say your hands are proportionate to your body. So a bigger person who needs more energy will have bigger hands, and a smaller person who needs less energy will have smaller hands. So your protein portion, you want to be about the size of the palm of your hand. Your carbohydrate portion, you want to be kind of a cupped handful, like a domed cupped handful. And then your vegetable or salad or fruit portion should be a double cupped hand. And if you use those as your targets for your meals, then you will be naturally portioning things properly to your size. And then the other thing you can do is just not have a huge plate, because people want, if they have a huge plate in front of them, and I get this from, I used to work in sports a lot, so we would do it backwards. So in sports we'd want people to eat more, so we'd give them a big plate so they would naturally fill that big plate and eat more. Whereas if you're wanting to eat less, give yourself a smaller plate, so there's physically less room on there for you to load it full of stuff. Then you'll naturally just get smaller portion sizes.
Easier said than done, though, right?
Don't go back for seconds.
Yeah, that's the one. I think I overstuff my plate, and then I get full, and then instead of me going and throwing it away, it's there, and then I'll just pick on it, and that's the one that gets me into trouble, because I got some underlying stomach problems.
And eating more mindfully as well. Like, a lot of people just scran their food super fast and don't really think about what they're eating, and don't give themselves time for it to go down and digest before they go back in for more, and then you feel overstuffed and really groggy. Whereas if you eat a little bit slower, take time to really think about what you're eating and sit and let it digest, and then if you're still hungry after, then you are probably actually hungry, so you can go back for more. But more often than not, give it 10 minutes to settle down, and you're like, oh, actually, no, I'm not really hungry. I'm just a little bit thirsty. I'll have a bit more water, and then you're settled. So it's, being more mindful with it for sure.
Okay. We were talking earlier about so many conflicting advice online with the, those diets. Should women, and exercise trends, should women be more cautious during this time, and perhaps why?
With their diet, definitely. There's multiple things that go on in your body which can affect, how you metabolize food. So Courtnee said earlier that your fat storage goes from your hips up to more centrally, more viscerally. you also get a decrease in your muscle mass. Your muscle is a more metabolically active tissue. So if you have more muscle, then you naturally expend more energy at rest. If you have less muscle, which you do get at menopause, then when you're resting, you are expending less energy. So if you're eating the same amount in your 30s as you are in your 40s, you will find that you are eating just too much for what your body needs because your energy just naturally decreases. Things like reduced sleep can increase your cortisol, your stress hormones. It can also increase the ghrelin. So your ghrelin is your hunger hormone. It signals to you when you're hungry. If you have lack of sleep, and especially chronic lack of sleep, your ghrelin levels just go completely out of whack and tell you that you're hungry all the time when actually potentially you're not. So that's something that can happen. So it's all these things that your body is doing to make you feel like you're hungry and at the same time stop you burning the amount of calories that you would when you were younger. So those two things just compound. So that's why I said making sure what you're taking in is matching what you're expending. So that's kind of like the main one.
How important is protein?
Super, super important. I'd say it to like all of my clients every day. Make sure you're eating protein. So your protein is your main building block for all of the tissues in your body. So like we just mentioned, you decrease your muscle mass. Your muscle also becomes more resistant to building signals. So it decreases and also it makes it harder to build back up again. So protein is super important to get at regular intervals through the day. So not just loading it in your dinner and having loads of protein at dinner, but at no other time during the day. Making sure you have protein in breakfast, protein in lunch, protein in dinner, so that your body is consistently getting the building blocks that it needs to be able to keep building that muscle. And it's super important for bone as well. And it also keeps you full. So protein is it's kind of satiety, so it fills you up. And it's also really good for insulin sensitivity and making sure that you're not getting those huge, great big spikes in blood sugar. Just keeps everything flowing very gently through the day.
And do more women become insulin desensitized, I guess, as you age, or
Yeah, so when you hit menopause, your insulin sensitivity decreases. So protein is really good for managing those blood sugar spikes so that your insulin can still work as effectively as possible, even though it's slightly less sensitive.
Okay. Gut health, inflammation and menopause connected, and what foods can help to support a healthy gut during the stage?
Yeah, for sure. So your gut is actually really important for managing your estrogen levels. So you have this thing in your gut called the estrobolome, which is when estrogen goes into your gut, it is then recycled and sent back into your body. So when you hit menopause, the bacteria that are in charge of that process decrease. So that process becomes a little bit less, efficient at what it does. So making sure that you've got a good gut flora, eating lots of fibre, drinking lots of water, having things like kombucha, fermentable foods, lots of omega-3 healthy fats. All of those things work really well to build a good gut flora and good diversity in your gut. And that can help the estrobolome, and that can help your body synthesize and recycle kind of the estrogen that you have left more effectively. And we were talking the other day about the gut-brain axis and gut health affecting sleep and affecting, everything.
And what not to eat.
And what not to eat as well.
And what feeds the bad bacteria.
Yeah. What feeds the bad bacteria?
So more like refined sugars, those sort of... I like to be careful when I talk about processed foods because processed foods aren't inherently bad. You just have to be careful about when you pick and choose them. But the ultra processed foods like super fried foods, like your fried chicken that you get from like your Burger King, your KFC, those kinds of things are just super inflammatory. They're not great for your gut health. They just completely wipe it out. If you've been on antibiotics for anything, that is indiscriminate. It gets rid of the bad bacteria, but it also gets rid of the good bacteria. So if you've been on any kind of course of antibiotics or medication, just making sure that you're eating those good fibre things to get that gut bacteria back up and running.
stress can make menopause feel worse. How does exercise and nutrition support mental health, well-being, and your mood and brain health during this time?
I think just adding movement to your day is going to help endorphin release and all those feel-good hormones and chemicals in the brain. So the less we do, the worse we feel.
That is true.
And it's hard to break out of that cycle.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I say to start small with things, even if it's just going for a 10-minute walk, like sprinkling in some little walks throughout the day. The more you do, the more routine, the more structure we have, the better we feel. It's motivating to have that. So whether it's joining a class or doing something with a friend, then you start having a sense of community. You're doing something with a friend that's fun. Mm-hmm. That in itself is motivating. And then you'll start to see changes pretty quick. Strength changes can happen quickly, and that's motivating when you do something one day and talking about your knee replacement. It's like, what could you not do 2 months ago? And you look back and go, oh wow, I can do a lot now.
Yeah.
It's a hard road to see that progress every day, but to look back and say, oh, you know what? I couldn't do that move or lift that weight a month ago, and now I'm increasing it. I'm doing more. So that in itself is motivating and helps with mood and the depression. Just getting all the good brain stuff going along with the body.
Yeah. Anything else you'd like to add that we haven't touched on in this interview?
I like to tell people, find your advocate, whether it's your doctor that you like to talk to, it's a physio that you like, it's a teacher, an instructor. Like, find the person that you can ask questions to and feel like you get a good answer that's listening to you in return, that's going to help point you in the right direction and tailor what you need to you. It's not an overall, just a general thing that they're throwing at you, whether it's HRT and hormone replacement, whether it's an exercise program, whatever it is, find your advocate and use it, utilize it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think following on from that as well is my two main things are finding what works for you, because there's no one size fits all thing, and what works for one person might not work for another. Like, especially, so take for example hot flushes. Someone's hot flushes might be triggered by spicy foods, but you are absolutely fine with spicy foods and it's not a thing for you at all. Or having one type of fibre might work for someone else, but for you, it might not be the best thing for your gut. Those kinds of things. And that kind of leads on to my second thing, is being open to try new things. So trying to get out of your head and out of the way that you have been, and being open to try new things, try a new class, try a new form of exercise, try a different type of food. If that's not working, be new to try something else, and just trust the process, and you will find something that works for you. It just might take a little bit of time and might be a little bit of trial and error, but trust the process and it'll be okay.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Courtney and Ellie, who are from Cayman Physiotherapy, for sharing such practical and valuable advice. Menopause affects every woman differently, but we women do not have to navigate it alone. Small, consistent changes in nutrition, movement, strength training, stress and stress management, plus sleep, can make a meaningful difference, which is what Ellie and Courtney have been telling us, are saying all along. Thank you so much for joining us on For the Health of It. We will continue to explore the conversations and information that help us to live healthier lives. We are moving you to the life you want.
Your health is everything, and it's important to have a doctor who cares. Dr. Sidney Ebanks, proud Caymanian, has a big heart for his community, specializing in complex cases, urgent care, and preventative medicine. Dr. Ebanks offers over 20 years of experience. He listens to your needs, your frustrations, and what you're experiencing. He treats more than just the illness. He treats you. Dr. Sidney Ebanks, where care meets compassion, because every patient deserves a dedicated doctor who cares. Call Dr. Ebanks at Grand Harbor Medical today at 949-4309.
If you or your loved one is facing cancer, only Sylvester will stand firmly by your side at every step, from diagnosis through survivorship, providing you and your family peace of mind and assisting with everything you need before, during, and after your stay with us. Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center is South Florida's only NCI-designated cancer center and specializes in treating the most complex cancer cases. Your first-class cancer care is just a flight away. Learn more at sylvester.org.
Running on empty? Feeling depleted? Health and wellness comes down to one essential factor: energy at the cellular level. Our body is designed to support, repair, recover, and heal, but it needs the right environment. At the Lightroom, our energy enhancement system is that right environment, a balanced bioenergetic support for your body's natural processes. Don't wait until your energy is depleted. Recharge and keep optimized. Start today. The Lightroom, advanced energy therapies that work. We're in Pasadena Place.
This is For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
Brought to you by Healthcare Pharmacy, where they care about your health. 2 locations, Governor Square and Grand Harbor. Refill and transfer prescriptions online. Call 947-8900 or visit healthcarepharmacy.ky.
The Lightroom, your holistic sanctuary for physical and mental restoration, repair, and rejuvenation. The power that made the body heals the body. 38 Pasadena Place, Georgetown. Find us online at www.thelightroom.ky. or call 938-HEAL.
UHealth, University of Miami Health System, world-class healthcare in the heart of Miami.
For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
Information, entertainment, inspiration.
Covering Grand Cayman, Little Cayman, Cayman Brac.
Since 1976 till now.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Oh, I love this beat. What do you call it? We call it the cow itch.
I've tried the short roads to being a man.
Beautiful, beautiful shoreline.
Oh, Cayman moon.
Cayman all-time favorites.
Poor old Robert. Poor old Robert.
Here he comes, mosquito. Come to spray mosquito. All the girls in line, they say, Louis, please spray mine.
Cayman all-time favorites begins right now.
I don't know what they learning that boy child in school, you know. No, I tell that boy child feeling straight. Fish got bone, you can find bone in chicken, but conch not got no bone. I hear somebody say that somebody had say, but don't say I say, conch I said didn't say, but conch got no bone. Conch not 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 got no bone. Aunt Jemima, tell your mama, conch not got no bone. Aunt Jemima, tell your mama, conch not got no bone. Conch not got no bone. Conch not got no bone. Conch not got no bone.